All praises unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Warakakwadash. Peace, blessings, and much respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, on down to the rest of the elders who rule well within Israel. Salutations to the hopeful elect throughout the four corners of this whole entire earth, no matter where, whom they may be, or what they may look like, pushing out this purified truth. To the rest of the church who believe as well, you men who may not be teachers or prophets, you women, sons and daughters also. The water, which means thank you to Yahweh Shai, because without him enduring and going to that cross for the world of Israel and the world of Israel alone, none of this would even be possible whatsoever. So let's jump into the book of Matthew, chapter 20, and verse 1, as it is written. For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. So the householder, that would represent Yahweh Shai. Okay? The laborers, that represents the men going out on the streets teaching this word, putting their videos on the internet highway, teaching this word today. Okay? And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. So it's already been established that as a laborer, you're going to get a penny a day. So that's just referencing, or metaphorically speaking, we're all getting paid the same thing. We're all going to receive the kingdom of heaven. It doesn't matter if you have quote unquote seniority over another brother because you've been in the truth longer. You're still going to get a penny. Okay? You can be in this truth for 20 years. If a brother's only been in the truth for 1 year, you're both still going to receive that penny. Why? Because that's the agreement. Okay? Verse 3. And he went out about the third hour, and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right or righteous, I will give you. And they went their way. So before we came into this truth, we were likened unto men who were standing idle. We were like men who were spiritually unemployed. Okay? But then a man who's likened unto a householder, being Yahweh Shai, has hired us to be his laborers in his vineyard. So now we're not standing idle anymore. All right? Verse 4 though. And said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right or righteous I will give you. And they went their way. Again he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle. So just like today, you have men who may eventually be called into this truth, but right now they're in the world. They're not putting their foot forward to be a laborer, to put their hand to the plow. But then after they receive the word, or maybe after receiving the word in a certain time may have to go by, depending on how the Lord does it for them, they'll be brought forth, they'll be hired to work for the householder. Okay? And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle? They say unto him, Because no man hath hired us. He, okay, being Yahweh Shai, being the head of the household, okay, he saith unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is righteous or right, that shall ye receive. So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, Call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. So the stewards, being the overseers of the household, okay, being those who are looking over a household, the household of the one who's over the household. Okay, when you go back to verse 1, let me read verse 1 again. For the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man, that man being Yahweh Shai, that is a householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. So the householder, being Yahweh Shai, okay, he's the one that's hiring men on this job. And the men that he hires, he turns them into stewards, okay, to look after his vineyard or his household, okay, metaphorically speaking. So going back to verse 8, so when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. So remember, the deal was, as a laborer, you're going to receive a penny. But this is saying starting from the last unto the first. So a man can't brag and boast and think he's more than what he is because of the amount of years he's been into this truth. There may be someone who's of the 12 who just came into the truth 2 years ago. Okay? But regardless, although he's following behind other men, he's going to get the same penny as men who have labored longer than him. And it's starting from the last unto the first. Those who aren't necessarily quote unquote being seen right now, the brothers who get ignored right now, the brothers who kind of come in later, they might not have came during the days of the old school. They wasn't out there teaching during the 90s or the 80s. A lot of men that are teaching right now started to come in around 2007 on up. But that doesn't take away that they're going to receive the same penny as men who came from the old school. All right. That's what that's likened unto. All right. So let's go back to where I was. Verse 8. So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came, they were hired about the 11th hour. They received every man a penny. So it doesn't matter if you've been in this truth for 1 year or you've been in this truth for 40 years. We're all going to receive that penny, but it's going to start from the last and then the first. So just because you've been called into the truth before another brother, you might be over him right now. Okay. But not only are you going to receive the same penny, you may not be over him in the kingdom because it's starting from the last unto the first. It's starting from those who have been overlooked. Okay. Those who don't necessarily get their flowers. And when they came, they were hired about the 11th hour. They received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more. And you'll have men that come in that spirit thinking that they've been in the truth longer, so they should be given a bigger reward. They'll call certain men Johnny come latelys. Okay. As if you're a nobody because you came into the truth years later after them. But that's the same spirit or the same mentality as someone who feels they should get more than someone who just came in. But the deal was we're all going to receive a penny. That was the deal. But this is going, the last shall be first, not the first and then the last and then the first is how this works. Okay. And that's not just speaking of Esau being brought down and Jacob being exalted. That's also speaking of men in this ministry. You have men in this ministry who are more looked at as minor prophets. No one really cares about them, so to speak. Or they just came into the truth this year or last year. They came in last. Well, some of these men who came in last or who came in after 2007, 2008, a lot of these men could be someone very special. And if they're of the elect, they're going to receive that same penny that other men who have labored before them are going to receive. Yahushua can do what he wants. It doesn't make him unrighteous. Okay? But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny, because that's the deal. Verse 11. And when they had received it, they murmured against the goodmen of the house, saying, these last have wrought but 1 hour. Yeah, these Johnny come latelys, they wasn't here in the old school. They wasn't around. Okay. And thou hast made them equal unto us. Here it is. This Johnny come lately think he's on some level. Who does he think he is to rebuke an elder? Or, these types of personality traits that you see among Israel, we all fall short. But how the Lord operates is different than how man is operating. Okay. Now, a man should know his place. You should have reverence for the elders to some degree, but you don't want to make it to where you're putting them before the words of the Heavenly Father either. Okay. Saying these last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us. You made these Johnny come latelys equal unto us. Who do these men think they are? Which have borne the burden and heat of the day. But he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst not thou agree with me for a penny? So again, that was the deal. Okay, to receive that penny being the kingdom of heaven. Okay, take that thine is and go thy way. I will give unto this last, even as unto thee. So just because a brother is a so-called Johnny come lately, if he is of Yahweh Shai, he's going to receive that kingdom, just like you. Okay, it is not lawful for me to do that what I will with my own. Is thine eye evil because I am good? So just because, the goodman of the household is giving everyone a penny, starting with the last before the first, does that make him wicked when it's his business? So the last shall be first and the first last. So brothers who might not come from these dominant cities may be first. Some of these men who just came into the truth after 2007, 2008 may be first, because that's how Yahweh Shai is working. Men are so carnal, they think that all the 12 apostles must be, out of one West directly. All the 12 apostles must be men who were teaching in the 80s and the 90s. That's being carnal. The last shall be first. I wouldn't be surprised if, a lot of men who are important, which all the elect are important. But what I'm saying, all the men who are higher up in rank, so to speak, are certain men who got called into the truth later. Okay? And Yahweh Shai going up to Jerusalem took the 12 disciples apart in the way and said unto them, Behold, we go up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man shall be betrayed unto the chief priests and unto the scribes, and they shall condemn him to death, and shall deliver him to the Gentiles to mock and to scourge and to crucify him. The third day he shall rise again. Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children with her sons, worshiping him, desiring a certain thing of him, being James and John. And he said unto her, being James and John's mother, What wilt thou? She saith unto him, Grant that these my 2 sons may sit, the one on thy right hand and the other on the left, in thy kingdom. And I personally believe this woman asked Yahweh Shai this because James and John may have whispered to her, like, Mom, could you go ask him for us? See what he says? Because what people don't know, well, not everybody, but a lot of people don't know, James and John were actually cousins of Yahweh Shai through their mother. Okay, so this woman that's asking Yahweh Shai to grant them to sit on his right hand or the left, she was actually the sister of his mother, being Mary. Okay. But anyway, and he said unto her, What wilt thou? She said unto him, Grant that these my 2 sons may sit, the one on thy right hand and the other on the left, in thy kingdom. But Yahweh Shai answered and said, Ye know not what ye ask. Are ye able to drink the cup that I shall drink of? So you got to imagine, you have these 2 sons and their mother is speaking in their stead, asking if those 2, being James and John, can sit on the right hand and on the left hand in the kingdom. Yahweh Shai looked at them and basically said, You have no idea what you're asking. Are you able to drink the cup, as in, are you able to go through the afflictions? Do you know the type of things you have to go through to be in such a position? Because even the scriptures tell you, to whom much is given, much is required. And so much, the first martyr of the disciples was James. Okay? One of the sons of this woman that's asking Yahushua if they can sit on the right hand and on the left in the kingdom. So when Yahushua asked, are they able to drink that cup? Well, let's just go forward, okay? But Yahushua answered and said, you know not what ye ask. Are ye able to drink the cup that I shall drink of, and to be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with, which is the afflictions? Okay? They say unto him, we are able. And he said unto them, ye shall drink indeed of my cup. And so much that James was the first to be martyred of the 12. And then John had to witness all his brothers, not necessarily with his own eyes, but he had to live through all of his brothers that he taught with, being with Yahushua, be killed in some kind of way. And then at the end of his life, to be locked away in a concentration camp, and a rugged island known as the island of Patmos. And then this island, you'd be sent to do various jobs. All right. Various rigorous and vigorous tasks. So they definitely had to drink the cup in that life and in other lives that they would come back. Trying to be someone, it doesn't come easy. All right. And he said unto them, ye shall drink indeed of my cup, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. But to sit on my right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but it should be given to them for whom it is prepared of my Father. So it's all about predestination. The Heavenly Father sets up the order, not us. But it sets out that when it comes to being on the right and on the left, Peter would be on the right, John would be on the left. All right. And when the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation against the two brethren. Here it is, they getting offended because the two brothers, through their mother, are trying to, they're basically being ambitious, okay? And it offended the other disciples, okay? Just like certain things that, I may say, it may offend certain men. They might think I'm being arrogant, or thinking within themselves, who does this man think he is? Right? But anyway, and when the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation against the two brethren. But Yahushua called them unto him and said, ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. That's how the people of this world operate. The people of this world like to belittle those who have less than them. The people of this world, when they have it, they like to make others around them servants unto them. But how we do things, we're not supposed to make our brothers servants unto us. We're supposed to be servants one to another. And how I see it, if you see a group of women and you out with the brothers, because women are always comparing, women are always trying to observe and see, who's the leader, so to speak. They shouldn't even know, because brothers should be treating each other as if the brother that's next to them is over them. The brother that's next to them has authority over them. You don't walk around as if you have authority over your brother. You walk around as if your brother is to be served by you. That's how we do things. Women should be like, dang, I don't even know who the leader of the pack is, They all seem to be, helping out each other. They all seem to be looking out for each other. One isn't trying to bring down the other to look good in front of us. Okay? But Yahushua called them unto him and said, ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. So if you're really great, you're going to be a minister unto your brother. You're not going to try to exercise dominance and dominion over your brother, trying to make him feel small, just so you could feel more exalted. or you can look better in front of people. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant, even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many, and that many being his sheep, his elect of the nation of Israel. Although Yahweh Shai, he's the head cornerstone. Man, what's up with me right now? He's the head cornerstone, right? Him being the head cornerstone, he didn't come in the spirit of trying to exercise dominion and authority over his disciples. It came down to a point where he ended up washing the feet of his disciples, man. I mean, think about that. Imagine a man that's richer than anybody came in the form of a humble man. Could have came cocky and arrogant, but he didn't. He came humble and meek, even rode upon a donkey when he could have rode upon a nice fancy horse. Okay? He didn't come to exercise dominion over his brethren or to try to belittle them. Okay? He came to be a servant because the greater you are, that's how you're going to be. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 3, also known as the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3 and verse 18. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before the Lord. So instead of trying to exercise dominion over your brother, the greater you are, the more humble you are. You should be willing to be a servant unto your brother, not be around your brother to demean him, to make him feel small, to try to diminish his character, to try to break his confidence, just so you can feel like the guy. Okay? Or you purposely get around a brother that you feel has a low self-esteem because it makes you feel better. We're supposed to be building each other up. Okay? And if you're really great, if you're really of Yahweh Shai's, if you're one of his top men, it's going to show in your humility. Okay? And remember, there's 144,000 men. Whether you're the first or the 144,000th, you're in a very, very good place. But there's tiers, okay, based off how humble a man is. And when I say humble, I'm not saying a man who's kissing ass. And that's another thing. People get humility mixed up with being an ass kisser or being tiptoey or trying to be a people pleaser. That's not what this is referencing, okay? But we should be servants one to another, all right? If you know your brother needs it, if you can help that man. Don't always wait for a brother to have to open his mouth when you can look at a brother and see he needs help. So when you go to Matthew chapter 18 and 1, it says this: At the same time came the disciples unto Yahweh Shai, saying, Who is greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Yahweh Shai called a little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them, and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. And one thing about a little child, they're not trying to exercise dominion. If you were to tell a child there's a boogeyman under the bed, they'll believe you. If you were to tell a child that there's marshmallows and candy floating on top of the clouds, they'll believe you. They're not going to try to, buck up against you and come off to be something. They're going to be humble. They might even just gawk at you in amazement, like, wow, really? Okay? Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So not trying to exercise authority over your brother, that's a sign that you're a great man. Even though you are great. Okay? We're not supposed to be like that to another. And whosoever shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me, and we're likened unto the little children. Okay? But whoso shall offend one of these little ones, which believeth in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. And that's why you have to be careful. We have to be careful how we speak to one another, because a brother could be someone very special in the spirit, and you offending him, now you're offending the Heavenly Father. Matthew chapter 21 and verse 16. And said unto him, Hearest thou what these say? And Yahweh Shai said unto them, Yea, have ye never read out of the mouth of babes and sucklings? Thou hast perfected praise. So the Heavenly Father is dealing with the little guys. People always want to make it seem like if you came into this truth after the old school, that you're not on no level. You can't possibly be nobody. Okay, you're just supposed to just shut up and just, just deal with whatever's being said and don't ask no questions. Don't have nothing to bring to the table. Just shut up. That's how some men act sometimes. Okay? The Heavenly Father, through his only begotten Son, is dealing with the little guys. Men who may have came in later on. All right? But just because that's happened, that doesn't give people license to try to belittle you because you're a babe, because you're not an elder. You're not on the level of the elders yet. Men will do that. Make you feel small because you're not an elder. Try to hit you with a question that you don't know, not for you to grow, but to shame you. Okay? And said unto him, hearest thou what these say? And Yahushua said unto them, Yea, have ye never read out of the mouth of babes and sucklings, thou hast perfected praise. So praise is being perfected through the babes. Men who may have came in the final hours. Okay? There are things that are being brought out now that may not have been brought out during the old school. You have men who are in this truth now, who are written in the scriptures, who weren't awake yet, going back to the old school. They were standing idle, but now they've been hired. All right? Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 12. Let no man despise thy youth. So don't let people think small of you because you're a babe. Don't let people think small of you because you're not an elder. The Heavenly Father is raising us up to be of quick understanding. Now, we shouldn't be boasting and bragging, and there is an order. Okay? And we should have respect unto the order. Now, with there being an order, that doesn't give people the privilege to try to belittle you because you're not on some level of an elder. Because you just came into the truth sometime after 2007, 2008. Okay? Let no man despise thy youth, because, hey, out of the mouth of babes, praise is being perfected. This gospel is being perfected through guys who haven't even been in the truth as long as other men. Let no man despise thy youth. Don't let no man call you a Johnny come lately just because you haven't been in the truth as long as them. Now, if you're being wicked and rebellious and you get called a Johnny come lately, that's one thing. All right. But be thou an example of the believers in word and conversation and charity and spirit and faith and purity. Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine. And that's what we should be focused on. Neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy, with the laying on the hands of the presbytery. Okay, so the elders have been teaching this word for quite a while. And through them teaching, we've came in behind them. We've woken up. And now that we've put our hand to the plow, we can't turn back now. We can't neglect the gift. Okay? Now, although, again, you may have came in after other men before you, don't let no man despise your youth or try to belittle you because of that. The Heavenly Father, through his only begotten Son, is dealing with us on the level that they're dealing with us. Okay? Now, let's go to the book of John. Just like with the man having multiple wives, he loves his wives, but he may deal with them differently. Okay? This is the book of John, chapter 4 and 36. And he that reapeth receiveth wages. So the elders, the men before us, they've been reaping. Okay? And he that reapeth receiveth wages, and gathereth fruit unto life eternal, that both he that soweth and he that reapeth, being those that come after them, may rejoice together. And herein is the saying true, one soweth and another reapeth. So you have men who have been sowing, doing this for years, and then you have men behind them who are able to reap through their works. They may not have to go as far as into going to a library and reading books and doing things the hard way because there were men before them who had to do all that heavy lifting, who did all that heavy labor. All right. But then the men after them pick up on that and they grow, and then they take that torch and they run. Okay. And herein is that saying true: one soweth and another reapeth. I sent you to reap that whereon ye bestowed no labor. So here it is, men have come in, and men before us who have, studied, wearying the flesh, really getting deep in these scriptures to get better and in a clearer understanding. Men after them have been taught these things, so they didn't have to go and do all the heavy lifting as much as the men before them. Okay, but that doesn't take away, they're going to get the same penny. Okay, and I sent you to reap that whereon ye bestowed no labor. Other men labored, and ye entered into their labor. So a lot of the men who are babes, who have entered into the labors of men behind them. Let me read this again. Let me get my thoughts together here. So John 4:38, I sent you to reap that whereon ye bestowed no labor. Other men labored, and ye entered into their labors. So we follow behind men before us who have been laboring. And because of their labors, it has helped us in our walk. It's made it easier for us. Okay. Now, seeing that these men who were laboring before us have been doing this longer, we're all still going to receive the same penny. Whether you've come in the old school or you've come in later on and you're following behind the labors of other men. And this is why I believe a lot of the disciples are probably men who came after the old school. Okay? Because seeing what it says here, and ye are entered into their labors, being that you come behind other men who have already been doing this. So this isn't based off of, well, I've been doing this an X amount of years. You haven't, shut your mouth. You're nobody. You don't have the right. I'm not saying that's how brothers are completely, but that's how things come off every now and again. And what we have to understand, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Just because you're a little guy in the sight of this world, or you're not really known among brothers, or brothers don't really speak your name and claim to be influenced or inspired by your lessons. The Heavenly Father sees his, man. And we're all going to receive that penny. And just because you're last now doesn't mean you're going to be last in the kingdom. Vice versa. Just because you're first now, it don't mean you're going to be first in the kingdom. But that doesn't make Yahweh Shai righteous. He set it up how he set it up. By the Father. Okay, so Lord willing, this was simple and edifying. All praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Shalom.